to Opinion Journal, and happy Veterans Day. I'm Mary Kissel. Secretary of State John Kerry's effort to forge a nuclear deal with Iran fell apart this weekend, thanks mostly to the French. I've got editorial page editor Paul Gigot here to talk about it. Paul, never thought I'd read an editorial saying "Vive la France" on the top of our editorial page.
Come on, with an editorial page editor with a name like Gigot, you're not going to praise the French once in a while?
Yeah, well, I guess it does have to happen once in a blue moon.
I take your point. Yeah,
why are you praising the French in this morning's paper?
Well, they seem to have essentially said the West must drive a harder bargain with the Iranians, and in particular, before we ease sanctions, we have to have more from the Iranians in terms of reducing the number of centrifuges, dismantling their plutonium project at Iraq, since plutonium can be used to make a nuclear weapon, as we learned in North Korea, as well as a reduction in their ability to enrich uranium, which is the other nuclear program they have. And then there's a debate about just how much they be able to hold in stockpiles and up to what threshold they should be able to enrich. But the point is, the French want more than the Americans or the British did, apparently from the reporting that we have done and others have done. John Kerry said something odd today. He said, oh, we're all united in the West. It was the Iranians who walked away,
right,
which does not comport with the reporting over the weekend.
Okay. Why would Kerry try to do a deal that allowed Iran to keep some of its nuclear programs?
Well, look, I don't think it's just Kerry. Look, the British are also on board here. Foreign Secretary Haig, for the British, was a real supporter of this. I think they feel that with Rouhani coming in as the president of Iran, this is a historic moment, and they want to grab it. And they feel that this staged process of an interim accord where we give them some money and ease sanctions in returns for some goodwill gestures on the Iranians' part is a way of creating a process that builds trust and over time will lead to a much more, a final deal, and they hope dismantling of the program. My problem with that is that we're trading actual easing of sanctions for promises.
Yeah, you know, the editorial also talked about President Obama's claim that if this doesn't go well, don't worry, we can still crank up sanctions again. But you argue that that's going to be politically difficult to do?
Well, I think it misreads what happens in these kinds of deals, because once you start the process of unraveling sanctions, which, remember, were very, very difficult to put together in the first place over many years, once you start dismantling those, it isn't as if you can say, oh, well, the Iranians, we have some evidence that the Iranians are reneging on their part of the bargain. We're going to reimpose sanctions. No, the way the argument will go in American and Western councils will be, no, no, no. If you do that, they'll start enriching again, and they'll throw out our inspectors. The kind of thing you saw with North Korea a couple of times in the last 20 years. So I think that's not a realistic analysis of how the debate would go. I think once you start to unravel the sanctions, it keeps going.
Well, at least on Iran, vive la France. Thank goodness for Paris. Editorial page
at least
editor,
for now.
Editorial page editor Paul Gigot.